Father, blessed be your name. Blessed are you, King of kings, who has set us apart from all people. You loved us with an everlasting love. You loved us while we were yet sinners. Messiah died for us. You love us sick, as it were. You love us to create a universe for us, made us in your image, and gave us the opportunity to love you back. So we do, and we thank you for your word. Open it up to us today, and help us to encourage each other. In Yeshua's name, amen.
David,
All right.
do you want this one?
No, I better stand.
You sure?
Yeah.
You can sit.
Yeah.
Gotta move around too.
I move around too much.
Well, if you change your mind.
Okay.
Where's the burgundy one? Where
The
did
one
it
I'm
go?
sitting on right here.
Oh, okay.
Does
I
he
might
want this
hurt
one?
myself.
Nope.
Okay, just a little history. This date in history. Last year, there was a tragic accident at the Battle Creek Air Show. We just remember that and we pray for things going on there this year. 2 years ago, I gave a talk shortly before a couple was going to get married, and I was fully expecting them to be here today, and they're not here once again. They weren't there then, and they're not here now. Anyway, so congratulations to Sarah and Casey Brown on their 2 years of marriage.
Oh, wow.
They've survived each other. And he has thrived in them, and we have been blessed by it. Anyway, does anybody remember what that teaching was entitled? How to
Fight fairly?
fight fair, or how to have a fair fight as a couple. 10 reasons why couples argue. Go ahead, and I've got 10 reasons down here. So throw them out. We'll see if you can get all 10. Go ahead. 10 reasons that couples fight. Go ahead.
Expectations.
Expectations.
Number one. Finances.
Okay, hold on. Let's see. Expectations. Family decisions. We'll go with that one, which is career, job, home, kids. Finances. I have that as number one.
Chores.
Children. Parenting philosophies. Household chores. You got 4.
The husband
Intimacy.
thought he was right.
Which we know is never true.
I would still put that under household chores. Whose job is it? It's hers to be right. Remember that.
You want to be happy, you want to be right.
That's right.
Affections.
Physical intimacy. I'll give you the rest. Religion. You all knew that one.
Yeah.
Past hurts. Priorities. Common goals. Common goals. And the last one, cleanliness. I don't understand that. I've been trying to get my wife to clean up my stuff for years. Okay, just to hit this real quick. And this is for the record, for the recording, because I know somewhere, sometime, Sarah and Casey are going to watch this, and so they will get these fair fighting rules eventually. Before you begin, you must agree that the time is right. You know? Like, wow, we are escalating, and all of a sudden, I see it in your eyes, you see it in my eyes, we're at that point of fisticuffs. I always thought that was a funny expression. But that's when we stop and we say, okay, is now the time. Relatives are coming, now is not the time. Remember, the only aim in the battle is deeper understanding of each other, not to prove you're right. And this is... I've got 2 stories there. One is the ship captain was out in the dark, in the storm, and he saw a light, and I'm sure you heard this one before, and I will butcher it terribly, so I'll hit it quick. But he basically called to the other and said, okay, this is Captain so-and-so, here's my coordinates, here's my direction, you need to move. They came back and said, no, this is so-and-so position, you need to move. Escalated. Finally said, look here, fella, you know, I am the captain of this U.S. Navy battleship, and I'm coming through, you need to move. There was a pause, and then it came back and said, this is the lighthouse. You need to move. So it's the business of who's right. And that other story is about the tiger arguing with the donkey. about the color of the grass. The donkey came along and said the grass is blue. What are you talking about? The grass is green. So they got into it. And it escalated to a point where they decided they needed arbitration. So they went to the king of the forest, the king of the jungle, the lion. And before they get there, the donkey is already up in his face. Hey, hey, Mr. Lion King, this tiger says the grass is green, and I tell you it's blue. Now, he's annoying. Tell him it's green. Tell him it's blue. The lion just looked at him and said, well, if you believe it's blue, it's blue. Ha ha! See, I told you. Now you need to punish this tiger because he's annoying me, and he's frustrating me, and I'm done with it. Okay, there'll be 3 days of silence for the tiger. Ha ha! The grass is blue, and off goes the donkey. And he runs away. And the tiger is standing there looking at the lion and saying, good sir, what are you talking about? We both know the grass is green. Of course the grass is green. Well, if you knew that, why am I being punished? You're not being punished for that. That's not even the point. The point is that an intelligent and strong individual like yourself would waste your time with a donkey like that over the color of the grass. And then bringing it to me and wasting my time just to justify that you are right. So the whole idea there is don't waste your time arguing with a fool, right? But and when it comes to marriage, there's no fool because our objective is not to wipe each other out, right? Check weapons to make sure they're not deadly. My wife and I have a real fun time with absolutes because we like to throw them out there. I'll be honest. I like to throw them out there. Now that it's established, we don't use absolutes. You always do this. You never do that. You know, you got to be careful of those because they almost never, rarely, are true. Lower your voice rather than raise it. Debbie has to remind me of that one a little bit more, but. Never quarrel in public. Never reveal private matters. That is very key. Very key. But that's not what we're talking about today, so I'll move on. These are very important. Discuss an armistice whenever either calls halt. There sometimes comes a point in that conversation, it's too late, or the family's coming, or conditions are such, look, we've got to talk about this later. I understand. You understand. We are in this together. Let's pick a designated time, not let it go on forever. And then finally, when terms are agreed upon, put it away until both agree it needs to be discussed. There you go. So that was for Casey and Sarah. I'm not bitter. And then the other thing that happened 2 years ago was Cindy Binkley's father passed away. I don't know if some of you know Cindy Binkley. She and her husband Eric attended City on a Hill for years, and she had to go out west to spend time with her ailing father, and that was a good time, an opportunity for her to minister to them, and her just sharing about that was humbling. It was and so as people passing, even Cassie's grandfather passing away, these are things that we have to deal with. But that's part of my discussion today is contentment, is the whole idea that you don't live in a world that is completely protected from trouble. Because if you do, then you never understand what it is to have relief, to have, to see beauty, to see a contrast. You know, if we protect ourselves, we shelter ourselves from any problems, we'll never know the full picture of what He's giving us in this life. So, blessings on the Binkley family too. Okay, all right. I'm going to sit down for a moment. I hope you can you see?
Yeah.
I'm sitting. Okay. Here we go. This is called Contentment 1.1, and I'll explain that in a minute. Here are some quotes on contentment. See if you can guess who they are. Health is the greatest gift. Contentment is the greatest wealth. Faithfulness, the best relationship. Buddha. Contentment makes poor men rich. Discontentment makes rich men poor.
Confucius?
Benjamin Franklin. Be thankful for what you have. You'll end up having more. If you concentrate on what you don't have, you will never ever have enough. Oprah Winfrey.
Easy for her to say.
I have a comment on this at the end. Notice the variety, though, I'm going here, intentionally so. Reflect upon your present blessings, of which every man has plenty, not on your past misfortunes, of which all men have some. Charles Dickens.
Yeah.
Someone is happy with less than what you have. And I think about that out here. We're sweating, and thank Yah for sweat glands, because they're doing what they're supposed to, cooling our body off, reminding us we need to drink some more water, or Pepsi, or whatever we drink. That just came out. That was not on the notes, honey. I'm sure that was by the inspiration. Here's one more. Oh, that was anonymous. This is another one I don't know. As you breathe, someone else takes their last. Stop complaining and learn to live with what you have. Now, this is not a talk about learn to live with what you have, because there are certainly plenty of motivational speakers out there that help a great many people facilitate on making goals and plans and improving their lives. These are good things, right? Including, I will even mention that later, but
Oh, okay.
that
Still
is part of it. If we are always looking at the greener grass on the other side, that's when the city ordinance comes down and said, sir, you need to mow or we're going to fine you. Anyway. Okay, this is called Contentment 1.1 because when I came to the point of trying to figure out what to talk about today, and I realized we haven't even opened the word yet. I will get there. I said to myself, you know, we did another one on contentment a little while back. I got to find that. So I went home and I looked it up, and I couldn't find it. I'm like, I know I did something on contentment, and it was overcomer. Being an overcomer and what it means to overcome, that was done a little over 2 years ago, December of 2020, after a major election. And I was thinking at that time, quite some heaviness going on in my heart between things just of the daily in David Olson's life and things on the bigger picture. How am I going to carry all this? And then he said, you know, you don't have to. If you understand it correctly, I'm the one who carries it, and I carry you. That way you can carry what I want you to carry. And I said, oh, yeah, that makes sense too. So, along that line, this is not Contentment 2.0. It's the other part of overcomer. But what's the difference between overcomer and contentment when you think of those two words? Okay, I got to get up and move, Ellie. It's just the nature of me. When we think of these two words, what would you say is something kind of defining or the difference?
Overcoming implies some kind of action,
Yes.
and contentment maybe doesn't imply as much action, physical action, but maybe more spiritual or mental.
I was thinking of, you were going to say that particular word, but you didn't quite say it.
Oh.
Anyone want to help him out?
Be still.
Be still? Which
Yes.
one?
The contentment.
Contentment. Yes. More of a stationary. Yes. Were you going to say something like? No. My thought was military or combat. You have this concept more in overcoming when you are in a confrontation of some sort. You don't think that so much in contentment, and yet at the same time, both of those are two things. They're part of the bigger picture. We are in a life battle. We are in a walk trying to find peace. Isn't that what the world is all about? Man, I just want to find peace. Yeah, I just want to be happy. I just want to. Oh, yeah, there was one quote I didn't read to you. Here, this one's from Socrates. I think this is just about the best. Contentment is natural wealth. Luxury is artificial poverty. Artificial poverty. Yeah, because in the end, ultimately, what are we trying to do? We are looking for a balance. We're looking for peace in our lives. They all go together: peace, purpose, direction, fulfillment. And yet, we know ultimately those come in the definition that He gives us. So let's now jump to that, and we'll look at that. Okay? I have like 5 verses and a little story. You already told us this story. Yeah, I'm going to tell you another story. So grab your scriptures. And let us go to Philippians 4. Who would like to be the happy victim to read 3 verses up here?
I will.
All right, come here, Mrs. Jonathan, I'll have you next.
Oh, here?
Mrs. Sevels, yes, so that you're on camera. Stand there.
Okay.
Philippians 4, 11 to 13.
Not that I speak concerning need, for I have learned to be content in whatever state I am. I know what it is to be humbled, and I know what it is to have in excess. In any and every situation I have learned both to be filled and to be hungry, both to have in excess and to be in need. I have strength to do all through Messiah who empowers me.
That's good. Thank you. You may sit down. We all know that last verse. We learned it in a vacation Bible school class or Sunday school class or with grandma or somewhere. I can do all things through Messiah who strengthens me. Right? But to think what is before that. The word there he said before contentment is I have learned. What does that mean? He didn't come with it naturally. He had to go through some things. He had to go through a little bit of Job. Nobody really likes to go through Job, do they? Yeah, I can honestly say that the troubles I have in the stress factors in my life are nothing like losing all my children in one day, all my crops in one day, all my barns in one day, all my friends on social media one day. Although that's not true. I did delete that account, so I guess I did lose them all in one day. But just the whole idea is that it's something he learned. And that's in richness and in poorness. And he's okay with either one. Isn't that's a beautiful place to be. Okay, next one. Come on up, Jonathan. 1 Timothy 6. Get ready, someone else will be next. 1 Timothy 6, 6 through 10.
But reverence with contentment is great gain, for we brought not into the world, and it is impossible to take any out. When we have food and covering, we shall be satisfied. We shall be satisfied with these. But those wishing to be rich fall into trial and a snare, and into many foolish and injurious lusts, which plunge men into ruin and destruction.
All right. Since you're there, I'm going to have you read the next two because they're the next two. But notice in there it said, godliness with contentment. How do you have the one without the other? Read that first phrase again.
Sure. But reverence with contentment is great gain.
Oh, that's it. I can kind of be content, but ultimately my definition of who I am is in Messiah. He created me for great works in Messiah, right? So with godliness or with reverence, holiness it's called, that is great gain. And what gain do we have ultimately but the kingdom? To be in covenant relationship with him. Read the next two verses.
Okay. For the love of silver is a root of all kinds of evil, for which some, by longing for it, have strayed from the belief, and pierced themselves through with many pains. But you, O man of Elohim, flee from all this, and pursue righteousness, reverence, belief, love, endurance, and meekness.
Amen. Thank you. That was 1 Timothy 6, 6 through 12, ultimately. Hebrews 13. Who's next? All right, Mr. Olson, I'll do it. Okay. Hebrews 6. You quiet people, I will stand here and read unto thee.
Hebrews 6.
Did
I
I
thought you
say?
said 13.
I did. Good catch.
I have it
What?
if you want me to read
Oh,
it.
come on up.
Okay.
Hebrews 13, 5 and 6. That's what I want. Thanks.
Let your way of life be without the love of silver, and be satisfied with what you have, for he himself has said, I shall never leave you nor forsake you, so that we boldly say, Yahweh is my helper, I shall not fear what man shall do to me.
Good deal. That's a quote from Psalms, that last part. The Lord is my helper, or Yahweh is my helper, I will not fear what can man do to me. Well, he can do a lot. But ultimately, it's still temporal. This lesson is for me more than anybody. That's probably why. Because I came to a 5-minute talk on the internet from some of my favorite people, and they were talking about happiness. The speaker his last name was spelled S-A-A-D, Sad. Gad Sad. He wrote a book entitled The Sad Truth About Happiness. And he gives some suggestions, and we will go over those, but let your conduct be without covetousness. If we can plug in righteousness there instead of covetousness, it's all a focus. What did Yeshua say? He said, if I be lifted up before men, I will draw all men unto me. If we are so filled as the temple with the aroma of being enamored with him, of loving him, and of praying to him for those that I love, I don't have time to be focused on those other things. And I say this because, and yet, I come home to my wife on a regular basis, and I tell her about the co-worker I have who is kind of volatile. You might say, one day this person is here, and then there, then there, then there. And I get to be a part of that. That is to say, there was one morning when I was at work. I start a half hour earlier than this person, and they came in, and I said, good morning. No answer. Good morning. Okay, never mind. You know I'm not a morning person. And that was the end of that. So now, for the last 365 days or plus whatever, I am not entitled to address that individual as they come in the building. But they can be addressed by the boss, and that person can respond just fine. Never understood that. But that is my cross to bear, it seems. And I don't bear it very well. So I'm looking for this contentment. And Paul says, I have learned to be this. Yeah, I'm still learning. I'm still working on it. I don't want to kill this person. I don't know how I minister to this person, but it's part of my calling for right now. It's something that's got to be done. Loving the unlovable, because I'm unlovable. Obviously, there's more to it than what I'm seeing. The last passage is Romans 12:2. I'm going to call my wife up here, Mrs. Olson, because you're the one who put this in my attention this morning. Romans 12:2.
In other words, do not let yourselves be conformed to the standards of the Olson. Instead, keep letting yourselves be transformed by the renewing of your minds, so that you will know what Yahweh wants, and will agree that what he wants is good, satisfying, and able to succeed.
We have all heard that one too. We know it, we've read it, but we could just about say it backwards until it comes to that Bible verse memory bee, and somebody else gets it. I beseech you, therefore, brethren. Who says that anymore? I beseech you, I exhort you, I encourage you with all that's within me, folks, to, by the mercies of Yahweh, to present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to him. And don't be conformed to this world, right? Don't be conformed. Don't fit into that mold of just going to complain. There's something that someone said in my preparation is that contentment does not come naturally to your garden. What comes naturally to your garden is complaining, is worry, is irritation and fear. I have to not allow those things to just grow naturally. I need to work to get contentment to seed and bloom. Okay? There you go. I'm almost done. Okay, so now here are the 7 pieces of advice from Gad Sad. Gad Sad. Why did his father name him that?
Yeah.
Well, he was from Lebanon, so he spoke a different language as a child. But he grew up in a war zone. He literally did. And he had a promising career as a soccer player until his leg got not blown off by military equipment, but he had some sort of injury, and that wiped that out. And he said, you know, I don't have time to be sad. There's too much of life. Life is so short and precious. I can't waste it on looking at the grass greener on the other side and seeing what I don't have. So here's what he says. He says, okay, and most of you, you're already there, or you're not there yet, and it makes sense why. But number 1 is find the right spouse. Well, that kind of makes sense. That's the person you're going to spend the rest of your life with, hopefully your best friend. And so you want to kind of get one that is not a mirror image of you. Because if they're a mirror image of you, one of you is not needed. It's the whole idea of complement, a team that's working together, right? But that works just as much with friends too. The idea of who you're going to make company with. Remember the drunk fellow falls in the gutter beside the pig laying there, and a lady comes along and says, a man is known by his company. So the pig gets up and walks away. But the whole idea there is what we choose to fill our arena with of choice. I mean, the work environment is a little different. That's going to help mold us, and we're going to help mold them. So you want to choose wisely. And something that this fellow who trained the FBI in dealing with terrorists and things, one of the first things he said you must include in negotiating, in interacting with people, is respect. Respect. If you want to push my button, my wife knows this, I'm working on it, just continue to interrupt me. It will shut me down very quickly, because I will have lost all respect. If people know that you are listening and you are coming to them with purpose and intent, and they respect you, they're going to listen. They're going to come in dialogue with you too, even if you're dealing with a terrorist. Hopefully we don't have to do that, but sometimes that just might be. Some of you might have ministered in places where there's a lot of unlovable, you know. Again, every one of us is unlovable to a point, right? And we are all forgiven by grace. Take just a quick moment and look up in this tent, would you? Is it perfect? It's perfect because there are a lot of testimonies of love that have gone into preserving this thing. And I want to say thank you to Mike and to the other people who helped preserve it so that we might have a little sanctuary out here. So is it perfect? No. But is it perfect? It's being perfected.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing. I was going to say that wasn't necessarily going to come with respect or finding a right spouse, but that's where it landed. Okay, the second thing is work your way to the right profession. My son Zachariah is working in a restaurant right now. He's just spent 4 years getting himself into an animation degree. And he's working in a restaurant. I said, you're working. But the next hop from this lily pad to the next see if you can't get it within the realm of your work. That way, even if you don't land the ideal job right today, because usually when you land the ideal job straight out of college, you go 6 months in like, man, I can't stand this. Not always. Mike, is that true? Okay. We're going to hold on that. Just the whole idea of, here, let me give you Ephesians 6, 5 through 7. Bond servants, obey your earthly masters with fear and trembling, with a sincere heart, as you would Messiah, not by the way of eye service as people pleasers, but as bond servants of Messiah, doing the will of him, of Yahweh, from the heart, rendering service as a goodwill, with a goodwill as to the master and not to man. Number 3, find the sweet spot of perfection. Ho, here's where this is where I was going to use Johnny, but Ellie, would you come up here? You're perfect. And Mr. Miller, would you come up here? Thank you, sir. Okay. Great. Mr. Miller, would you stand on that there?
Oh boy.
Yeah. Whoa. Now look here, fella. Okay, turn towards your audience. Okay, see, this is what we're going to recreate here so that they can see it. Okay? Anybody ever hear of the U-curve? Not U-curve, U-curve. Okay, so let's see here. I need some. Would you come up, miss? Yes. Oh, wonderful. You will stand opposite of Ellie. You'll be on this side. Perfect. Just stand right there. There you go. Stand closer to this guy. He won't bite you. Don't bite you. Okay, and then I need 2 other victims. Oh, let's see here. All right, I'll let you off this time, Gordon. Oh, Mr. Troyer, would you come up here? You're going to love this. Have a seat right there. And, Mr. Olson back there, you come up here. And you sit down right here. Don't hit your head on that thing. This is the U-curve of perfection. Anybody ever see it or hear of it before? Yeah, a bell curve. See, now Tim. Okay, a bell curve. And the idea is this. On this side, I have absolute apathy. So yawn. Okay? And on this side, I have absolute perfection. Give me that bug-eyed look of every little detail out of place. Yeah, good. Okay, so then from there I have, this is anxious, look anxious, and this is laid back. Look laid back, just, yeah, good. So this is optimum. Yeah, right at the top. Now, and the idea is if I have no incentive over here, ultimately, do I have contentment? Is there something productive to the? No. But if I swing the scale all the way to the other side, I will be so consumed, so preoccupied with the minutia, I won't get anything done. So the whole idea is to find yourself the what?
The balance.
The balance, or moderate. Oh, sorry. the middle ground where you have highest energy, and you're not burning yourself out or wasting yourself, and in the end, you're the most productive and you're the most invested. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You may give them a hand. You may go U-curve. What? The bell curve. Bell curve. Yeah. Well, it made better for U-curve when I said. Anyway. Okay, that's the sweet spot. Balance and moderation. Number 4, make sure to have playtime. And what Mr. Sad says is if you can make your work play, you've hit it. The whole idea is if you love what you do and you do what you love, you've arrived, right? Well, of course you haven't arrived because it's a lifelong journey that we're facing day to day. But just the whole idea is that is another aspect of the sweet spot, if you can do that. But if you can't, again, the idea is to move yourself toward the profession. Notice I didn't say that place or nothing, and I didn't say the ideal job, because sometimes it's not necessarily the job, but in the field that works for you, whether it's your training, your abilities, or a combination. Okay. Pursue many. Oh yeah. So in thinking of that, I think of slaves in Egypt. They didn't really have playtime. But Micah 4 tells us that ultimately each man will sit under his own
Fig tree.
right, or his own vine. That's a concept that in me and my Western thinking, I don't really. It doesn't get me too excited yet, but I'm taking that by faith. It makes sense.
Jonah was pretty excited about the vine.
Yeah, he was.
But
But he had that gnawing feeling in the end. Okay, so number 5, pursue many interests. Be curious. Ecclesiastes 5:18-20. This is what I have observed to be good, that it's appropriate for a person to eat and drink and find satisfaction in their toilsome labor under the sun during the few days of life that Yah has given them, for this is their lot. Moreover, when Elohim has gives someone wealth and possessions and the ability to enjoy them, to accept their lot and to be happy in their toil, this is a gift from the Almighty. Toil. I don't usually associate the word toil with happy or with, a reward, but that's what he's saying, and that's really kind of neat. In the end, if I sweat and I'm exhausted and I fall into bed, collapse, exhausted at the end of the day, and it was a great reason, I've accomplished, haven't I? Okay.
Dad,
Yeah.
and I've had firsthand experience that too many video games can be pretty sad and boring too.
Oh. Thank you. Number 6, be persistent and resilient. Take advantage of adversity. Okay, what's the difference between persistent and resilient? I got a picture for you. Here's the definition as I got it. Persistence,
sit down.
having a goal and not being distracted when things don't work out as planned. Persistent. Resilience is keeping yourself in the game in the face of failure. So, Josiah, would you come back up here? There's a scene in a film called Princess Bride, where this man is driven all of his life to get revenge for his father. And finally he meets this man upon whom he is going to get revenge. And what does the man do? He lovingly meets him with a knife in the belly. Ugh. So, here, sit down here. He takes the knife to the belly. That's, sorry, PG-13 teaching here today, a little graphic. What does he do? He says, well, that's it. I fall over and die, right? No. Persistence is, he says, I've got to get back up. So he gets back up. That's persistence. I'm not going to stop regardless of the conditions around me. And resilience resilience makes him stand up, and persistence makes him take a step forward and say, hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. And he says, stop saying that. And persistence, or resilience, then makes him say it louder and stronger and faster. And he starts moving towards him. Hello, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Thank you. You may go sit down. I just needed a person there for that. Okay. See, I mean,
Avenger.
yeah, but I mean that's it. That's the whole idea of taking advantage of the adversity. Yeah, that hurt. That stopped me. That slowed me down for a minute. But I have a mission, and I will not be deterred. I will not be moved. Hallelujah. And then the last one is minimize regrets. You ever see those people with a tattoo that says no regrets? I thought that was a mistake by somebody, but apparently that's a movement. Why you would want to misspell regrets intentionally, I guess it's a type of humor, but the first guy who did it probably has some regrets.
Yeah.
No regrets.
Like saying Pobody's nerfed.
Yeah, yeah.
Pobody's nerfed.
Yeah, yeah, there you go. Pobody's nerfed. Say that for the camera. Okay. But on the tombstone, this is the idea here where it said, I wish I had just... Happiness is within our control. We do ourselves a disfavor to be mired in unhappiness with issues that are outside of our control. David, I'm talking to you. That's the one for me. Always dealing with issues that are outside our control. 2 Timothy 4:7. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the course. I have kept the faith. No regrets. So I have just a couple of last things. Seeing how this is what they call the Independence Day weekend, thought I would read to you, or maybe you would like to recite with me, the Declaration of Independence, which includes the word happiness. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain inalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, you notice an unalienable right is life and liberty. He didn't say it's an unalienable right of happiness. We don't automatically get happiness. We get the right to pursue it. We can chase it down like it's in the woods, like a bunny. I'm going to chase that thing down and find it. And I get it for myself. Oh, I just went into like evangelist voice. Where did that come from? Okay. Anyway, just the whole idea is it's not on the kitchen table that your mom gives you for supper every night. You have to go and get it. You have to say, I'm going to eat Cheerios? I have got to find them myself. You know, if the Cheerios are hiding or something, where did Cheerios go? See what you did? You just kind of distracted me there. Okay, not a guarantee, but the pursuit. Okay, I'm almost done now. Content, here was another neat thing that someone said online. You know, everything online is gospel, of course. Content is not having all conditions just right. It's being all right in all conditions. Right, that's exactly it. So, when peace like a river attendeth my way, when sorrows like sea billows roll. This is the version that Johnny was mentioning we didn't do. Whatever the thought, whatever my lot, thou hast taught me to say, it is well with my soul. Okay, so I said all of this to say this. In trying to prepare for this, I listened to one guy, and he said, he gave this story, and he kind of gave an admonition to us. As we were singing this earlier, these songs had to do with peace and what He has given us and what we have in Him, our identity. But part of that is corporate. This man said that one time he was on the mountains and his son had a skiing accident. He brought his son to the hospital, horrible pain. And they're trying to deal with him. They're waiting for the doctor. And finally the doctor gets in there and he says, it's your clavicle. Clavicle comes from the Latin root word, I don't care. I don't want to know about the Latin root of nothing. I need pain medication. I need pain management right now. And the man said, all too often, we as the body of Messiah have people come in and, well, we want to teach them the root of that word, and they got lost on theological things when they're really hurting and they have needs. As I was preparing this, and as I'm thinking about each one of you has your own pains, your own hurts, your own frailties. And hopefully we get to know each other's a little bit more. We're like the tent, with a lot of places where we were punctured. And it's healed over, thankfully to Him, but we can minister to each other and help each other out. So, this is where my thought was, I should hand out a little card. Everybody write your name on it and write down something in your life. It doesn't have to be your secret sin, but something that you're praying for. And then we'll put them in a hat, and then we'll redisperse them, and you quietly pray for that person and that thing, whatever it is. I didn't get there, but we can still do that. as you think of you and you think of you, as we, we gather prayer concerns and praises each time we meet, and then Ron sends that out, or actually maybe it's Mrs. Mrs. Danbury. Thank you.
I don't know how to work the computer.
Oh. See, even in your weakness, He gives you strength. It's called your wife. In this, we're reminded, and we can lift each other up in the things that affect us, the things that affect those that affect us. It's a rippling effect. So, I guess my thought too is, contentment is, it's not all looking inward. It's looking up and finding my identification so that I can be free to minister to others like He wants me to. There, how about that? I finished. No, I didn't finish. I have a song. I'm not going to sing it to you because that might be painful. But this is from the 1970s. If you've ever heard it, I will give you the words. It goes with today's topic of contentment. Happiness is to know the Savior, living a life within His favor, having a change in my behavior. Happiness is the Lord, or is Yahweh, or is the Master, however is Yeshua. Happiness is a new creation, Yeshua and me in close relation. Having a part in His salvation, happiness is the Lord. Real joy is mine, no matter if teardrops start. I've found the secret. It's Yeshua in my heart, and me in His. Happiness is to be forgiven, living a life that's worth the living, taking a trip that leads to heaven. Happiness is the Lord. All right, Father, we bless Your name. Once again, I just ask that if there's nothing else they take away, that those people over there, we would remember that our identity is in You, and we are to be taking on the gates of hell. We can't do that when we're overwhelmed. And I just pray, just like the concept of being an overcomer, You would help us to find contentment in You, in Your Word, in Your Spirit, times of refreshment, times of fellowship with the body, and times of healing, so that we can turn around and reflect Your glory to a world that is truly sick and dying. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen.
Do we have a